Hello,
Hello, everyone. I'm Jen.
and I'm Kimberly, and this is That Vegan Morning Show.
Yes, it is.
How are you this morning, Jen?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired again, and I promise to try to stop being tired every Monday morning by going to bed earlier, but that just wasn't an option last night. It was night two of WrestleMania, and I just had to stay up
Ooh,
until it was
right.
over. And
When was
then
it over?
it was over a little before 11, but
Okay.
I was I was sad by the outcome of the final match, so I wasn't ready for bed right away.
Oh, yeah. I heard some other people like posting about it, and I just heard people talking about it last week, how it was coming
Mhm.
up. So it sounds like it was I don't really follow wrestling, but it sounds like it was a really big event.
It was. Yep, WrestleMania is the biggest event of the year, and so I was feeling a little bummed. I mean, I
Oh,
anticipated that the outcome might be what it was, but yeah, it left me feeling a little like meh. So didn't get to bed on time, but I'm awake, I think.
yeah, and you're here. So yeah, I'm with you too. Like I'm Mrs. Wake. It was just a busy weekend with different things. But one exciting thing is I made it to day 31 on Duolingo.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, my son was here for spring break last month. They're in college, their spring breaks are like in March. And he started getting into Duolingo. And then I was like, like I signed up for it, I think during COVID, because I saw I still had an account,
Mhm.
but I gave up very quickly. So like after like 1 or 2 days. So always wanted to learn Japanese. So I was like, you know what, let me give that a try. And I've been having so much fun and
Yay.
just showing and I'm not very consistent with things. Like usually I fall off doing something
Mhm.
after a week or two. Um, but the way they have it, and I know you've been on a path, you're over a 5-year streak right now, right? With
Yes,
French.
yes, I am.
So that's amazing and should be celebrated.
Thank you. Yeah, today will be because I haven't practiced yet. Today will be day 1,895.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing. We should have a big celebration when you hit day 2000.
yeah. It's
That's
fun. I
very
like it.
impressive. Here I am impressed with my little 31 days.
And you should be because you can't get to day 1,895 without getting to day 31.
You know what? I love that. You're absolutely right. So remember I think that's one of the most inspirational things we've said all morning. And I'm sure there'll be more, but I feel like that should be like in our archive of quotes. That's a really good one, Kimberly.
Thank you.
So we have exciting things to talk about today.
So exciting. Yes. I was, when I got this email from PCRM earlier last week, I was so excited to send it to you, hoping that you hadn't seen it yet, so I could be the one giving you this incredibly good information and news. But PCRM announced that that the FDA is going to start phasing out animal testing and replacing it with things that are more helpful for us humans because
Mhm.
testing on animals just isn't. It's
Yeah.
not getting us the results that we need. And they've stuck with it for so long because it's one of those things where it's like, well, this is how we've always done it. And so when scientists were going for funding, if they were going for funding and saying they were using non-animal methods of testing, they were unlikely to get the funding they needed. But if they'd presented that they were going to use animals, then they'd be more likely to get that funding. And so for the FDA to come out and say that they're going to start to phase it out and replace it with better options was just, oh, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah. So when you share, and there's a few things that came to mind when you shared this news with me. First of all, I realized this is an area that I haven't been paying it as much attention to, and
Mm,
and so I realized. I mean, I know about these things, but I haven't been like following or paying attention to what's going on in these things. And so when you sent this to me, I was like, wow. And I feel like we're always learning and growing and understanding things in veganism.
mhm.
And so I realized this is that one of those areas that I need to educate myself in more. And I didn't get a chance to educate myself as much as I would have liked to before. But it really made me think, just first of all, that's really huge for the FDA to be doing something like that.
Yeah.
And we don't need to it just goes to show we don't need animals. We probably never really needed them at all, but people didn't know things back then, whether
Mhm.
it came to nutrition, right? When it's come to other things. And over time, we've realized that we don't need to use animals and mistreat them and take advantage of them for things
Mhm.
anymore, whether it's for entertainment purposes, fashion, cosmetics, skincare, and medical. And
Mhm.
what I was reading in the article is, animals, they're different. They're made up differently than we are.
Yeah.
So the fact that they can have other ways of testing where no one's suffering, and it would actually give uh better results for a human. I
Mhm.
feel like that's a win-win on so many levels.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was really excited that you shared this with me because I realized it's something I want to like read up on more and understand more.
Mhm.
And yeah, do you know like, because they mentioned some of the different other alternative methods. Do you know what those are, to like talk a little bit more about them?
So I'm not super familiar with what the new options are,
Hmm.
but I wanted to share. So I stopped buying products that were tested on animals when I learned that testing on animals was a thing back in high school. And even though I hadn't made the connection to who I was eating, I made the connection to how useless it seemed to me that animals were being tested on. And this idea of bunnies having chemicals dripped in their eyes, and chimpanzees, having things connected to their brains, and same thing with cats. And it just hurt my soul so much to think, like, what are we even doing? By the way, hello, Richard. Thank you for being
Good
here.
morning, Richard. Welcome.
Yeah. And so I had stopped buying I was reading labels on all of my products, and I never bought anything tested on animals again. And so that felt really good. And then I got to college, and I was a psych major at first, my first 2 years of college. And I
Hmm.
remember the first time I learned about an animal test. The first animal test I learned about was the LD50, the lethal dose 50. And what that is that the requirement is that animals are drugged or tested on whatever it is they're doing until 50% of them have died.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that's to determine, like, how much of something can be administered or used before half of the population being tested on would be dead. And I was beside myself. So I was feeling good that I hadn't been participating in that. But then as a psych major, I was having to read about all of these different ways that animals had been used.
Mhm.
And it just was still baffling to me that I never then shifted and made the connection to also the abuse of animals in the food system, but I got there eventually. But,
Yeah.
uh but my gosh, like, just even doing a little bit of research, and for anyone who needs kind of an accessible way to learn kind of about a lot about animal testing, I would recommend to read Peter Singer's Animal Liberation Now. The
Ooh.
first half of the book is actually about animal testing. He doesn't get to the food animals until animals used for food until like the second half of the book. And I really appreciated that he actually put that first, because I think that you're right that and your experience is not uncommon in that we're not hearing as much about animal testing and where animals are used in cosmetics and medical things and stuff like that, as much as we're hearing about how they're used for food.
Yeah, and that's what I love about what we're doing with our show here, is it allows us to cover all of these different things. We can learn from each other, we can learn from our viewers, because it's interesting how different people step into veganism for different reasons. Some, you know, because of veganuary instantly can do it, or they see a documentary and they can go cold turkey. Some people can take a process. For me, it took a couple of years, right? Um, and and some people start with the environment. Like, there's all these different factors, and whatever that gateway is, um, because it's such a loaded it's such a loaded topic, right? It's veganism covers so many different things. And it's like what we were talking about before on a previous episode. It's not just a diet, right? Veganism
Mhm.
is just a fad diet. It's making conscious choices to not exploit animals. And there's different ways. And I love, it's interesting how you noticed that first. And I love how you shared that with me and brought that up as something to talk about here, because even though it's not an area that I'm super familiar about, I realize this is an area I want to learn more about. And so I definitely, when I have a little more time, want to like dive in and understanding like what are these other testing methods, because the more education I have on different things, when they come up at the table, when people ask me things or I could bring
Mhm.
things up, I feel like the more knowledge I have, it just helps my ability to answer those questions as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's one of the I think that's one of the things that's most meaningful for us as vegans is to have the ability to talk about all aspects of veganism in a
Mhm.
way that if someone is either challenging you because they think what you're doing is stupid or they are genuinely curious, they can walk away from the conversation and go, okay, I have a better understanding. Whether or not I agree with them is irrelevant. This person answered my questions and I have a better understanding, and you don't know what they can walk away with and
Yeah.
ultimately do with that information. They could go vegan 5 years from now. And it was because you planted that little seed by answering their questions and having that knowledge and information available for them when they asked.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so I feel like we're always learning. We don't know it all. I certainly don't know it all. And I love knowing and it's just I feel like it's so huge that the FDA is doing this. And
Mhm.
what also came to mind too is another thing. We were talking about hidden ingredients in vegan food. When I was reading this article, it made me think about too how there can be hidden animal ingredients and just over the counter medication, right?
Mhm.
Like, and that was something that um I had to realize. I learned like certain allergy medications can have derivatives of dairy in it, like, which I think is terrible, because what if you have
Yeah.
a dairy allergy and now
Right.
you can't take that medication? It doesn't make sense that you would have these things. And like, what is dairy doing in an allergy medication? Like,
Right.
how is that contributing to your well-being?
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Dairy itself is an allergen. Come on.
yes, it really is. And everyone I've spoken to who's given it up always feels better.
Yes.
So that was another thing that came to mind also, is how when I was reading this article, it just also made me think about like how there's animal products in certain medications. There is a website, I can't remember the name of it. I'm going to look it up.
Mhm.
But have you seen this website? It's like you can look up vegan drugs to see if they're vegan. I think it's like
Oh.
Vegan MD. Let me look at this.
Okay. I don't know about this. Let's see.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh, veganmed.org?
that's it. Vegan
Okay,
Med I knew there was like a med thing. Yes. So you can
cool.
search um medications and like prescriptions. Like I discovered this last summer when I was given a prescription for something, and then so I was like Googling, and then I discovered this vegan MD. So yeah, I just wanted to I just thought of that. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Kimberly.
Yeah.
That's a good way if you want to like, start, if you want to like see if your medications have any animal products in it. That's a good way to start.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'd never heard of this website before. Thank you.
See, we're learning from each other.
We are. That's I love it so much. And I think I love when this happens with us because it shows, and we've said this, I think you said this in one of our recent episodes. It shows, and yeah, you may have even just said it not that long ago, that we do just keep learning. There's so much
Hmm.
about the world that we need to understand and learn about. And I know that sometimes that can make veganism feel huge and too big and like I can never make this change because it's so much, but there's so many of us that are doing it, and you just have to be open to keep learning and accepting that there was something you didn't know. Now you know, and now you can make a different and better choice. But there's no reason to like beat ourselves up or make it like a whole thing. You just move on and make a better and vegan choice.
Yeah, yeah, I love what you just said. And yeah, look, I had to figure out what was the easiest way for me to go vegan in a non-vegan family.
Hmm.
So at that time when I was ready to make that commitment for myself was, all right, I'll still cook non-vegan things for my family, but I'm going to be vegan for myself.
Hmm.
And you know what? And then it went on from there. But sometimes you just have to do the easiest thing. And at one point it was just, all right, when it's just me, when I'm at home, I'll be vegan. But if I go out and there's no other vegan option, like that was like the gradual change, right? Until
Hmm.
I was finally ready to commit. And it took me a couple of years. And again, like we were talking about before, some people can do these things right away and sometimes not. And there's, you know what? I feel like any type of, again, it's progress over perfection. I say this all the time on my channel, The Confident Vegan, where yeah, it's just any type of steps. And I think sometimes we think, we're too small, one little thing. Did you ever see the movie or read the book Cloud Atlas, Kimberly?
No.
I read the book and I saw the movie, and there's a quote, and I put it on my Instagram a long time ago that kind of ties in with this. And uh where is it? I know I posted it on here. Bear with me. There's a really good quote. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna Google it right now. Say something cool while I'm looking this up because it really ties
Okay,
in nicely.
I will. So, yesterday we were at my sister-in-law's and I was talking with my nephew's girlfriend who they've been together for a while, but I haven't had a full conversation with her. And she was talking about how her mom is vegetarian. And then I was sharing kind of my journey to veganism. And I mentioned how I didn't eat vegetables and no one believed that it would stick. And my sister-in-law was like, "What?" Like nobody could believe that this vegan, who it's like her whole personality now, started off as a person who didn't even eat vegetables. So, do you have the quote?
I do have the quote, but I just love that. I remember we talked about that before, how it's so interesting, right? Like you never were into vegetables and now
Mhm.
you're a veggie expert. But I do have the quote, so thank you for stalling.
Yeah.
So this is what is an ocean but a multitude of drops? So, so here it is. My life amounts to no more than one drop in a limitless ocean. Yet, what is any ocean but a multitude of drops? So, I love that quote. I've always loved that
Mhm.
quote because, right, we think I'm just one little drop, right? What are my actions
Right.
going to do? But an
Mhm.
ocean is a multitude of drops. So if all of us do one thing, that's how
Mhm.
change happens
Right.
when more people start doing it. So yeah, I just wanted to share that quote because it's one of my favorite quotes from a book, and I just felt like it tied in with, sometimes we feel like, what's the point in me doing this? For anything, the environment, all that stuff. But we're one drop, but an ocean is a multitude of drops. So we have an
Mhm.
opportunity to be that ripple effect of change.
Yeah, and that reminds me, and I wanted to make sure I had all the words right, of a Margaret Mead quote,
Ooh.
"Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has."
Ah, love it. Look at
Yep,
us being so inspirational today.
right? So, just a reminder, keep doing it. Keep
Keep
fighting the good fight, and don't give up because we are
Don't give
making a
up.
difference.
And starting small still has an impact.
Yes, yes, it does.
Wow, look at us. We are tired and inspirational.
I know, it's amazing. Look at
Right?
the things we can do together.
Right? Exactly. Do you want to like switch over now to what we were gonna finish talking about? Because we were doing
Yeah.
the Veggie Awards last week.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then we were like, what? We ran out of time.
How was it 7:30?
Right?
I am ready. I've got my magazine right here.
Okay, and I have my notes from it. So, yeah, which one do you want to talk about next?
So I would love to talk about the favorite Instagrammer. So Badass Vegan won, and I love him. And if people haven't seen his documentary, They're Trying to Kill Us,
Mm-hmm.
you should, because it's really, really good. And if you are not familiar with the topics within that, it's a really good eye opener for everyone. So I would recommend that. And I was glad to see that he won, but I really was also excited about the editor's vote for Catherine Perez, who is the registered dietitian who wrote that cookbook that I have been making every recipe from, the Peaceful Kitchen, the one that
I
I was
need to
sending
get
you
this
photos
cookbook
from.
because it sounds so good.
So I was really glad to see her get a little nod because that cookbook I have made, it's got to be like half the recipes at this point, and there hasn't been a stinker yet. They've all been so delicious and just amazing, and so I was really glad to see that. Do you have a favorite Instagrammer?
I have a I have a few, but the one that pops to mind, Hench Herbivore. Like he's wasn't listed on there, but
Mhm.
he's a vegan bodybuilder, and he's always like showing his videos are fun. He mixes comedy but covers all the different things with veganism and health, and I just love I have a lot of fun watching his there's a lot of Instagrammers I love, but yeah, but he was like one of my favorite Instagrammers that I like to follow because he's just fun to watch, and then I also get great recipe ideas from him.
Nice. And what about so favorite celebrity? Joaquin Phoenix won, of course.
Of course,
Um,
and I wouldn't disagree with that.
no, me neither. And I was glad to see Pam Anderson got the editor's vote. But when we were chatting in one of our just like regular check-ins and working sessions, you had asked me who's your favorite vegan celebrity. And remember, I drew a complete blank. I was like, there are so many, and I cannot. It's Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh
I
my god, I keep
love her.
forgetting she's vegan. I
I just
forgot
love
she's
her.
vegan. I love her.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm so glad she's team vegan.
me too.
You know who else is one of my favorites is Moby. I love
Yeah.
his posts. I mean, he's got veganism tattooed all over his body. He's
Mhm.
like a walking billboard. That's commitment.
Yes.
So, and he has a dog named Bagel, and
Aw.
he's always sharing sometimes he shows posts of Bagel, and I have, first of all, the fact that you use a cookbook. I have tons of cookbook. I have a
Mhm.
cookbook addiction, and I buy cookbooks because I'm excited about what I can make with the cookbooks,
Mhm.
but I don't make the cook. And then my husband is like, "You're buying another cookbook?" And I'm like, "Yes, this one's got different stuff from the other
Right, that I'm
books."
definitely gonna look at and never make.
Yes. So Moby had a restaurant in LA called Little Pine, a vegan restaurant. And I always wanted to go to it. And then I found out that it closed
Mm.
recently, like I think like a couple of years ago. And I was like, darn it. But
Aw.
there's a Little Pine cookbook. And I always wanted the cookbook. So I bought the Little Pine cookbook last summer,
Mhm.
and there's like amazing stuff in there, like
Nice.
bagels, like brunch things, like all the like different things to make. So I'm
Mhm.
like, this restaurant must have been amazing. And now like there's this cookbook. So I want to like start challenging myself to use things in my cookbooks and maybe make videos going through my different cookbooks. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to give a shout. That just made me think about the Little Pine cookbook because
Mhm.
I haven't made the food from it, but it looks really good and fancy.
Didn't he have a tea shop in New York City?
I think so. It sounds familiar, but I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough having businesses and things, and
Yeah.
and I know COVID also caused a lot of challenges for a lot of places. So I'm not sure why Little Pine closed, but it was It looked like if I ever was in LA, it was on my top
Mhm.
spots to go to.
Nice. Yeah. So by
Um,
the way, whether you're viewing live now or you're watching the replay, like let us know who's your favorite Instagrammer, who's your favorite vegan celebrity, what cookbooks do you love? We're gonna
yeah,
definitely have a cookbook episode coming up,
definitely.
because just like Jen, I too have an obsession with cookbooks. I love them. I have favorite cookbook authors, and I got a whole lot to say about that. Is there another category you want to touch on?
Well, you know what? Let's talk about favorite YouTube chef.
Yeah.
My favorite's Gaz Oakley, who was not on their list. Oh,
No.
should be.
Oh yeah, he's not at all. And you know who else? And I love Chef AJ. So I'm always happy to see her getting the recognition that she deserves. But Derek Sarno is mine. I mean, Gaz Oakley's up there too, don't get me wrong. But I love Derek Sarno. His passion and
Mhm.
is just palpable through the videos. And he makes this beautiful food, and his videos are also beautiful, but it feels like I could do that. Like, you watch his videos
Ooh.
and you're like, "I can make this food." I actually was inspired one day. I just watched one of his videos where he made, like, tofu steaks and, like, vegetables and gravy, like, really simple, and I just went into the kitchen and kind of replicated. I didn't even follow exactly what he did, but I kinda just felt it in my heart and just made it, and JP was like,
Ooh.
"Oh my god, this is amazing."
Okay, so I haven't watched his videos, and now I know what I need to do later.
Mhm. But,
What was his
yeah,
name again?
Derek Sarno.
Okay, I'll have to
Yeah.
check him out,
Mhm.
because I love yeah, because sometimes you see these things and you're like, "That looks amazing. I need a whole weekend to do that."
Right. My favorite thing about Gaz Oakley, and I'm so happy and thankful that you introduced me to him because I had not ever seen any of his videos. Somehow he was not on my radar, but he just is so connected to the earth
Yes.
and the vegetables, and you see him outside like clipping herbs and stuff, and he's just so in tune, and it comes through, and you just feel I feel like comforted while I'm watching his
I
videos.
yes, I do too. The passion because he does organic gardening. He lives in Wales. He's coming out with a new cookbook, which I can't wait to get. And
Yeah.
and it's like he did a video about making a loaf of bread, and it was just like it just was like such a comforting video.
Mhm.
And my heart just melts when I watch it.
Yeah, I can't believe he didn't even get a mention. I,
Yeah.
I'll admit I don't know any of the other people. I'm sorry, I can't read with my glasses on, so I have to, like, get close and, like,
And I
"Oh,
don't have the magazine. I just
hello,
wrote down my
40s."
choices. I did want to mention one other person. I know she was mentioned in a couple categories, but
Yeah,
Carly Bodrog from Plant You. Like I have her
okay.
Plant You cookbooks. I haven't. She has the Scrappy Cooking cookbook. I know was mentioned for best cookbook, and I have it. I haven't made anything from it. It looks really good, but I have her first cookbook, and it's all like what I love about her cookbooks is they look really easy. It's broken down and she has like really nicely done pictures.
Mm.
So they're very visual and simplified. So I've made some things from her first cookbook. But I do have the scrappy cooking. And when I saw that was up there as, the top cookbook, I was like, I still can't believe I didn't cook anything from it.
Another cookbook that has incredible photos that really help you follow the process, and I mean, that's what I'm assuming because I've looked at it, but I've never made anything, is, Ed Tatton's bread, BRED. He teaches you how to do sourdough bread, and
Ooh.
there's other recipes for, like, cookies and stuff like that, but almost everything in the book has the basis of a sourdough starter. So he teaches you how to do the sourdough starter and then how to actually make all these different versions of sourdough, and I remember looking through the book they sent me before they were on the podcast, he and his wife, and I was just blown away by the beauty of the photos and the detailed description. 'Cause I have always felt overwhelmed by the idea of a sourdough starter and making
Me
my own bread that
too.
way. Remember, like during COVID, like, it seemed like everybody was baking their own bread, and all these people were like, "Oh, here's my sourdough starter," and I was like, "How?" I was so overwhelmed by it.
Did you make it?
No,
Oh.
not yet, but very inspired by the photos.
It sounds cool. You know what? We should have a special episode of Jen and Kimberly make sourdough.
Yeah.
It could be a
It would be
disaster. I don't know.
right, it might be.
Wow, I can't believe we're at 7:30 already. Is
And
there
there's still prizes I wanna talk about.
so you know what? Why don't we take 2 more minutes? Do you wanna take 2 more minutes just to, like, touch on
Yeah,
the other things? Because otherwise
yeah.
we're gonna be going on and forever.
Right, yeah, next week could be whatever the topic is, and part 3 of the Veggie Award.
Yeah.
I suppose that would be too much. Um, well, best vegan city, Los Angeles won, and I can't speak for that, but
Yeah.
New York City got second place, and that I know, like, I agree with wholeheartedly. New York City definitely feels like an incredible place to go and experience lots of different vegan things.
Yes. And we've experienced vegan things together there when we met up in person for the first time almost a year ago.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right. It has been almost a year already. Unbelievable.
Right? I think it was like June 1st or something when we like met up in the city.
Yeah. We'll have to do it again because we didn't get to Mushu's.
We did not get to Mushu's. We
No,
definitely need to get to
I couldn't
Mushu.
handle the heat that day.
You know what? Summers in New York City can be very brutal.
Yeah. Is there another category that you want to call out
I'm
quickly?
trying to think what else because I'm like looking at my notes. They mentioned vegan grocery store. I've been to they said Bestie's Vegan Paradise. Was that in Los Angeles?
Let me see.
That was, but then I think the second, well, they did mention Orchard Grocer in New York City, which is right next to Mushu's. So I've been to Orchard
Right,
Grocer.
we were supposed to go there.
We were supposed to go to. That's a really cool place.
Yeah.
Highly
Well,
recommend.
we'll have to go.
We will. We should plan a New York City trip soon.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, was there anything else that was a big category that we didn't get to?
Go ahead.
Oh, protein powder. Orgain they had as number 1. I never had Orgain, but Vega was second, and I love the Vega protein powders.
Okay. JP uses the Orgain one.
Is it good?
I don't know because I don't do protein shakes because I can't handle the texture of them. And I feel like they always taste gross. And I'm just not willing to do that to my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you. They can be chalky. I usually add stuff. Like I like to add frozen blueberries, banana, spinach. So like I wasn't a protein powder phase for a long time. And then I just kind of stopped. So I have like containers that I bought when I was still in the phase. And then now they're just in the cupboard because I don't know. I lost interest in it. But yeah, I mean, I will add them to a smoothie sometimes, and it's like the Vega one. I like the vanilla one. I like a lot. That one I like mixed with stuff. So I think we covered because we did cover a lot.
We did
best dessert. I think we did catch everything.
Yeah, I think so.
All right,
very good.
We did it.
Yay! And only 4 extra minutes. Thanks for hanging on.
Thanks for hanging on. And if you caught the replay, please, let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching us now, thanks for watching. And we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
Yep. Bye for now.
Bye.